Trump and the Patriots, they are preparing to show the people who the true enemy is. This is an operation to expose those individuals that are treasonous, committed crimes against humanity. And I do believe that this is the storm. This is phase one of the storm. And I do believe the operation at hand right now is to remove the power of certain operatives so they cannot push any more events. We'll be talking about how all of this is going to play out. But first, let's talk about General Michael Flynn. Catherine Herridge, she tweeted out the following. Read, Defense still seeks original 2017 FBI summary at General Flynn interview about his Russia contacts. FBI record is called a 302. At Sidney Powell, questions government claim original not in their possession, suggesting it does not exist. Judge says things happen. Documents are lost. Now, we know that Trump came out and said, listen, the documents are lost and I might have to pardon General Michael Flynn. But I do believe because of optics, there's going to be a huge amount of pressure on the judge to have the Mueller Department of Justice individuals, these prosecutors, to produce something or drop the case and issue an apology to General Michael Flynn. Because remember, he wants to change his plea deal. He's not going to plead guilty. He's going to plead innocent, which means the Mueller Department of Justice, these prosecutors, they have to produce the evidence. They don't want to produce the 302 because this is exculpatory evidence, and it will show that Flynn is completely innocent. And I do believe that Trump is putting pressure on the judge, and I believe the judge is going to have to make a call, because if you can't show anything and documents are lost, you have no case. And I believe for optics, I think it has to be dismissed. And I believe we are headed in that direction. Now, because of what is happening with coronavirus and everything else, it seems that the Supreme Court is going to cancel oral arguments for March, which will delay the hearing on Trump's tax returns and pretty much all the other cases for the House. Remember, they want the testimony of Don McGahn. They want the grand jury information. They want the tax returns. All of that is coming to a screeching halt because the Supreme Court, they are taking a leave right now because of what is happening with coronavirus. Now, remember, the justices were scheduled to hear oral arguments from March 23rd to the 25th and March 30th to April 1st. But none of this is going to happen. And of course, are they going to resume all of this later on? Maybe not. Because with this storm, with what's coming with the investigations, they might not even have to do it. Now, down at the border, Trump, his administration, they have announced a $175 million contract to build barriers along the southern Texas border in areas where no border wall previously existed. So Customs and Border Protection, in conjunction with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, they announced that they received the $175 million to build roughly 15 miles of border wall in the Rio Grande Valley sector, an area located in Stark County, Texas. And once again, because of what is happening with this new event, it's showing that strong immigration policies, very important. Showing that a wall is also very important. And we're starting to see many other countries follow exactly what Trump was doing. We'll be getting into that in just a moment. But first, remember, there was this coronavirus response bill that was brought up in the House. We know that Pelosi stuffed in things about abortion. She wanted money for this. We know what that was for. That was to money launder these funds out into the organization, bring it back into their pockets, because we know that Trump has cut off their funding. And it seems that she removed that, but there's still a problem with this bill. It seems that she's trying to work this out with Steve Mnuchin, because there are still major differences. And this is a huge problem, because the House cannot send the bill to the Senate until they approve of the technical changes. And Representative Louis Gohmert, he insists on reading the changes. Rightfully so. He should read it. He wants to read the 87 pages to see what's in it. Remember back with Obamacare when Pelosi was out there? You need to pass it so you can read it. Louis Gohmert is saying, no, I want to read it before I pass it because I want to see if you're stuffing anything into this. And we should never forget that Pelosi held up the vote on the coronavirus a few weeks ago so the Democrats can run ads against Republicans on Super Tuesday. So he wants to read this. Other people should read it before we move this along. And I'm sure there's something in there that was stuffed in at the last minute. And we'll have to see how this all plays out. Now, very interestingly, Margot Cleveland, she was looking at this entire travel ban, the coronavirus, what the academics were telling Trump. And this is what she tweeted out. I'm reading the House testimony, re coronavirus, and had no idea how ballsy @real Donald Trump decision to ban travel from China was. Apparently, the bureaucrats ran academic models on the scenario, and those concluded travel should not be banned. Cuccinelli recommended ban travel anyway, but told Trump what modeling said. Trump banned travel from China and saved untold number of lives. Tell me any Democrat would have made that call. Now, how did I discover this? Well, in testimony, Representative Titus had this to say about Trump's life-saving call. Representative Titus then went on to say, I think it probably was, and this administration has very little respect for anything intellectual. And this is yet another example. This is an epic case of TDS. Representative Titus condemns Trump for being anti-intellectual, for making a better call than an academic model and saving American lives. Unbelievable. Post-twit. Also, I just saw C-SPAN's transcript was truncated. Her line was actually, was that like bad politics as opposed to good science? Also, has anyone seen it reported before that Trump rejected the academic model? So Trump went against what they were telling him, saying it didn't matter. Let everyone in. Don't have travel bans. But what's very interesting is that other countries are doing what he decided to do. Why do you think they told him not to ban the travel? You think this was part of their plan? I do believe so. We are now seeing restaurants, bars, entertainment and recreational areas. They're all closing in Washington. And I believe this is also happening across the country. A lot of businesses are shutting down and a lot of people are doing things online right now. Everything is coming to a screeching halt, and there's a reason for all of this. And we know that the mainstream media was out there and they continually put out fake news over and over and over. Remember with Google preparing this website for the coronavirus screening? Well, it is live right now. It is being tested for residents in Santa Clara and San Mateo counties in Northern California. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, why did Trump go to Google? Remember, optics are very important. The deep state, they already had this event planned. Trump, he's moving along doing exactly what they think he was supposed to do, making it seem like he's following along in this event. And we'll explain this all a little bit later in this report. But we are seeing a lot of fake news being pushed out there. We see from CNN, Jim Sciutto, he's spreading fake news of a nationwide curfew. Now, he put this out there. This is what he tweeted. New, there are active discussions within the Trump administration to encourage a possible curfew across the nation in which non-essential businesses would have to close by a certain time each night. Katie Miller, who is Pence's press secretary, said this is not correct. So once again, we are seeing fake information. There's also fake information saying that we're headed towards martial law, that everything's going to be shut down. And we see messages coming out of all different organizations within the government. Here we have Acting Deputy Secretary Ken Cuccinelli. He says, hey folks, we're not shutting down the United States. Lots of serious misinformation being peddled out there. And that's exactly what they're doing. They are just pushing fake information. Remember, the mainstream media, the deep state, they are pushing their event. This is what they want to happen. This is why they keep using propaganda to push exactly what they want to happen. But it's not happening the way they want it. Remember, the mainstream media, the deep state, those individuals that are pushing fear, panic, and everything else, they believe they're in control when they're not. Now, the White House, they're canceling their annual Easter egg roll over the coronavirus concerns. Now, this was a 140-year event that took place on the White House South Lawn, and now they have to cancel it. And like we said, we see Europe, they are shutting borders. We see Canada right now. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that his government will be closing its borders to all non-citizens and anyone else who isn't a permanent resident. Now, U.S. citizens, they're exempt right now for the moment. Doesn't mean that they're not going to say, okay, no one's coming in. But if you notice, Germany, they had a fold. We have the UK. They are now banning people. We have Canada doing it. They're following exactly what Trump has done. What is he reversing here? All the theories and ideas that open borders are fantastic. No matter what happens, you should always have open borders. But look what Trump has done. He has protected the U.S. by controlling the borders, having secure borders, building a wall. This is about exposure. This is about showing the people firsthand how this works. We've been talking about this for quite a while. How people under Obama and others were able to just come into the United States, bring diseases, they weren't vetted, and they were just shipped off to different places in the country. And now we can see how important it is. And the rest of the people can understand why it's so important. Reversing everything the deep state was trying to do. Now we're seeing a huge amount of resignations since this coronavirus. And each time or each day, we're seeing more and more CEOs, executives run. They're dropping out saying, okay, I see what's happening here. The latest is Lockheed Martin's Hewson. This is Marilyn Hewson. She is going to step down as chief executive officer. Why are all these people leaving? Why are they running as this coronavirus is hitting? Are they realizing that it's not working? I do believe they're starting to realize that their event that they thought they were controlling, and they're going to continually push panic and fear until the very, very end. I do believe they're starting to realize that it's not going the way they thought it was going. Jake Tapper tweeted out a message, and I do believe this message is to Hillary Clinton. It says, and remember, her United States Secret Service code name is Evergreen. Evergreen health doctors test positive for coronavirus in critical condition. So Evergreen, which is Hillary Clinton, he's telling her that this whole coronavirus scare, it's in critical condition. It is not working the way we thought. And I do believe the White Hats, the patriots, they neutralized this virus in a certain way. And we'll get into that in just a moment too. Now, it seems that Trump and his administration, they are sending us messages, letting us know that the plan, the storm, is happening. This is coming from Enoch. An O turns into a Q at 21 seconds, then a shield with a plus. Now, Trump put this out, and it's a message on how to stop the spread. And when the letters start to disappear, and I slowed it down, if you're watching it on the video, I slowed it down enough so you can see the letter Q. Enoch then refers us to post 2597. It says, do you believe in coincidences? And it says, O made into a Q. More to find over time. Happy hunting. And as the letters disappeared, O turns into a Q, letting us know the Patriots are in control. Then we have Dan Scavino. He put out a GIF of the American flag, and that reminds me of post 3276. And this is Patriots have pride, Patriots have love, united, not divided, flags out. Patriots are in control. Now, very interestingly, Praying Medic, he picked up on the order of operations of arrests. And this is in a Q post, and this is post 88. So we know that arrests are happening in Saudi Arabia. Right now, they have detained 298 public officials in the new corruption probe. And Prayomedic refers to post 88, and it says, why is this relevant? Saudi Arabia first, then the US, then Asia, then the EU. We are witnessing the storm right now. During the storm, how do you protect the people? How do you track those who are going to be arrested? And how do you protect the public from false flags during mass arrests? You minimize the exposure. You keep public gatherings to a minimum. You close down the deep state targets. We're counting down right now. Now, Dr. Russell McGregor, and I took a portion of his Twitter thread of how this could play out. Now, I'm not saying this is exactly how it's going to play out. I have different opinions on what Dr. Russell McGregor wrote, but let me begin and let me read down what he wrote. He says, "Attention patriots, my final analysis of how the storm will unfold. I shall put together all the cube puzzle pieces. In doing so, I will take my best guess as to how the ideal U.S. military strategy might be structured to complete the storm. I am willing to take the heat if my guesses do not largely eventuate. Let's start with the virus. SARS-CoV-2 is a PSYOP. It is real virus, but causes little morbidity and mortality. Thus, it is benign overall and less of a concern worldwide than influenza. And actually, we've been seeing that. The virus can be problematic, but only in those with serious comorbid disease, almost exclusively the elderly. Having said this, preventative measures should be undertaken until POTUS gives the all clear. Antivirals such as remdesivir will be useful in ICU treatment. The virus was engineered by the deep state at the University of North Carolina, Fort Detrick, and AAHL, Geelong. It, however, has been attenuated, neutralized by white hats. 2 of the 4 HIV inserts have had base pair additions to ameliorate the gain of function. China, Iran, Italy are all on the side with POTUS. They have largely manufactured the crisis by controlling the release of the PSYOP disinformation. Remember, Italy was involved in Spygate and needed to make amends. Most deaths will have had intercurrent influenza. Hence, conservative influenza prevention treatment is important. China released the virus at the designated time. The purpose was to create panic as cover for the operation. Quarantines will be staged throughout major cities of the world. For instance, Sydney is likely to start this Wednesday, March 18, 2020. The level of action will be entirely inappropriate for the actual risk posed. The mainstream media is hoping the virus is very deadly and will end POTUS politically. It is not and will not. They will ramp up the panic because they have no other choice. They're under the impression the virus is in the original deep state form. During these quarantine periods worldwide, there will be silent, simultaneous arrests of evil, low-level deep state facilitators. These include MS-13, Mafiosa, the Cartel, Canberra Raiders, and the rest. These nasty individuals will be put in quarantine camps run by the worldwide white hat military. An example are the American locations, and he has this map. Now, we'll talk about this map a little bit later, but the map does match up to the sealed indictments. Let me continue. We will not hear too much of these arrests, although some have already subtly been announced. So no dramatic arrest of these nasty individuals. Silence is strategically the best option. The worldwide city quarantines will continue from the staggered individual commencements until they all end the 10th of April, Easter Friday. Now remember, Trump set up the travel ban and it ends on April 10th. April 10th is Donald Trump's initials. And it's also Good Friday. He said superimposed upon this will be 10 days of darkness, which will begin on April 1st morning and end April 10th. Now, I don't know if the dates are correct because we heard from Trump where he's saying there's going to be 15 days. So I'm thinking anything within that period of time. But don't worry about the dates. Think of 10 days of darkness. Let me continue. Immediately before the start of darkness, POTUS will tweet, "My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us." April Fool's Day will lessen the initial worries about darkness occurring. When darkness occurs, there'll be peak COVID-19 panic and medical martial law worldwide. That doesn't mean that it's martial law and there's troops on the streets and nobody can leave their house. This is quarantine zones. Quarantine medical martial law will have been in place in most major cities for some time before April 1st, 2020. Many people will be self-isolating at home. Most will have already prepped for food, etc. In Australia, the unemployed pensioners will be given about $750 on March 31st, 2020. Other countries will have contingencies too. This means few will starve. Some emergency stops will be open to provide supplies if needed, but generally, most shops will be closed. The 10 days of darkness will involve no social media or internet. I do believe internet will be up, but we're already getting word that social media, certain videos, certain people that have Twitter, those channels might be shut down. There will be electricity, but no TV or radio. No newspaper will print. The military of each country will close these down. POTUS will have the only available method of reaching the public worldwide throughout the 10 days of darkness, and that will be through the emergency broadcast system or the emergency alert system. Each military worldwide will transmit this to TVs and devices in their respective countries. POTUS will be either aboard Air Force One during the days of darkness for optics. Ostensibly, the excuse for the use of Air Force One will be safety and or infection risk. The EBS, or the emergency alert system, will be transmitted from Air Force One. There will effectively be a total news blackout except for Trump. Now, this goes on with other things, but I wanted to talk about what is going to happen. Now, I do believe that this is about removing the power structure of the deep state. Trump, he came out, and you can see on his Twitter account, there's going to be 15 days of self-quarantining. He wants everyone to be in a group of 10 or less people and people to stay in their homes and don't travel. There's going to be no school. There's going to be no businesses open. And it seems that they are prepping for what is coming. Now, Trump tweeted this out. I ask all Americans to band together and support your neighbors by not hoarding unnecessary amounts of food and essentials. Together, we will stay strong and overcome this challenge. Remember, Q has always told us, together we are strong. Now, when we look at the maps of the quarantine areas in the United States, we have Seattle, we have Washington, California, we have Texas, we have Colorado, we have Georgia, we have D.C., New York, New Jersey, Michigan, we have Illinois. These are the same states that we have all these indictments. Yes, there are other states, and the quarantine areas will probably be added to this, but they do match up pretty darn good. Now, Jordan Sather picked up on something that Trump said. This is what he tweeted out. In talking about the coronavirus and its impact, POTUS quickly mentions it's nobody's fault unless you go to the original source.
Airlines are concerned, the airlines, we're going to back the airlines 100%. It's not their fault. It's nobody's fault unless you go to the original source, but it's nobody's fault.
Wait a minute. So what is the original source? What is he talking about? He's letting everyone know that it's nobody's fault unless you look at who actually started this. Where did this come from? Now, if we go back in time to Q's posts, things start to make sense here. This is post 282, and Anon asked a question. I have a question. The 10 days of darkness, when? Q just answered, shutdown. Now, this was December 2017. If we go back to post 97, it says, paint the picture. Now, I'm just reading in a certain area of this post. It says, paint the picture. Disinformation exists and is necessary. 10 days, darkness, war, good versus evil. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, you think the internet will be shut down? Do you think social media will be shut down? I do believe social media will be shut down. I don't think it's going to be the entire internet. I don't believe there's going to be a kill switch, because Q has told us in the past that the social media providers like Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and the rest, they're the ones who are going to block information. And we're already getting word because Team YouTube tweeted out the following. With fewer people to review content, our automated systems will be stepping in to keep YouTube safe. More videos will be removed than normal. during this time, including content that does not violate our community guidelines. Now, I do believe Facebook, Twitter, and the rest are going to have the same exact messages, which fits into 10 days of darkness. And these arrests that we're witnessing right now, they're going to be done silently. This is why in post 3892, Q said silent running is a tactic used when? Because they are removing the power structure of the deep state. What is the power structure of the deep state? Certain operatives, gangs, paid mercenary forces that carry out events. Why do they want to remove all of this? This way they can go after the major players. This way they can't use anything as they make the top level arrests. So these arrests, which I do believe are being done in silent, these are the low level operatives that can push certain events. And I do believe this is the first phase of the storm. Operation Strip the Power worldwide. Remove the power so the deep state cannot push events. The second phase of the storm is the investigations of those who are in charge, those who are calling the shots. And this is why I believe Jake Tapper was saying and tweeting out to Evergreen that the coronavirus is in critical condition. It is not working the way we thought it was going to work. And the arrests of Hillary Clinton, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Obama, Brennan Comey, everyone that we've been hearing about for a very long time, these will be made public once the investigations are complete. Durham is wrapping up his investigation in the summer. Remember, Q has told us it's going to be a hot spring and summer. So the question is, when do you use the Trump card? When is the right time? The right time is when you remove all the power from the deep state. The right time is when these individuals are powerless. And what do I mean by powerless? The mainstream media can't support them anymore. Their power has been stripped away. They're no longer reporting fake information. Actually, they might not even be reporting. They can't have their paid mercenary forces, deep state operatives, gangs push their events. At this time, these people are helpless. These people are exposed. There's no place for them to run. Now, do I believe in this next phase we will have suicide weekends? Do I believe that people will run? Yes, but Trump, the patriots, they're going to play the Trump card. These are the investigations. These are the indictments against these individuals. And I believe Trump and the patriots, they want to make this public so the people see it happen. What we're watching now is the silent arrest of removing their power structure. And I believe the public arrests, those will be coming very, very soon once this operation is complete, because we know the investigations are wrapping up. And this is why Q has told us it's going to be a hot spring